Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie and I just read so many books, it's ridiculous. But I just love reading. I love being able to escape into a different world. I'll admit, the book that I've got for you today, it wasn't my favourite, but I feel like I still need to talk about it. I say need to talk about it. I think that you'll understand. I think a lot of people will understand when they hear what it is. The book is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. So this is the front cover. There you go. I'll explain everything after I've read the blurb to you, okay? When Tate Collins finds airline pilot Miles Archer passed out in front of her apartment door, it is definitely not love at first sight. They wouldn't even go so far as to consider themselves friends, but what they do have is an undeniable mutual attraction. He doesn't want love, and she doesn't have time for a relationship, but their chemistry cannot be ignored. Once their desires are out in the open, they realise they have the perfect setup as long as Tate can stick to two rules. Never ask about the past, and don't expect a future. Tate is determined that she can handle it, but when she realises that she can't, will she be able to say no to her sexy pilot when he lives just next door? It's 352 pages in fiction, romance and adult. It's definitely for an adult audience. I will say there are a lot of sex scenes in this. It kind of reads more like an erotica because of how much sex there is in there. There's mental health stuff in there and hints at kind of slight emotional abuse. So throughout the book you are seeing Tate in the present day and you are seeing Miles with a relationship he had 6 years earlier. This book kind of made me angry. It kind of makes me feel the same way I felt about the TV show Dr. Foster. I watched all of Dr. Foster, but that first season really did make me angry, and that is how this book makes me feel. It makes me feel angry because the relationship that the two characters have is, well, it's in the title, it's ugly. It's really ugly, and it's just one of those things where it's just like, I feel communication would go a long way into this relationship. And as it says, I like the first line of the blurb, they first meet when Tate is about to move in with her brother Corbin, and Corbin's not at home, and she just sees Miles. She doesn't know who he is at that point, and he's just passed out, completely drunk in front of the door, and she calls up her brother and says, there's a person drunk outside your door, I don't know what to do. And Corbin just says, at first he's just like, just get inside the apartment, just get inside. And in the process she kind of wakes up Miles. He's just there drunkenly going on about Rachel, who you then find out about in the 6 years before chapters, and basically he grabs her ankle and she like kicks him in the face. She kicks him, basically, trying to get into this apartment, and then they finally establish who Miles is, and it's the neighbour who had as established in the 6 years before, had quite an interesting relationship with the girl who ended up becoming his stepsister. The thing is, Miles, it's obvious from those 6 years before chapters, he's completely living in the past. He cannot get over what happened with his last relationship, to the point where he's kind of become celibate for the past 6 years. And Miles and Tate have kind of this instant attraction to each other. It's kind of electric. They fall in lust with each other. They don't fall in love, they fall in lust with each other. And you realise throughout the book that whatever happened with Rachel, which you do find out about what happened to that relationship through Miles' chapters and towards the end of the book, you realise that what he and Rachel had was pure love, whereas what he has with Tate is lust. And the way that it goes through the book, it's like the author is trying to tell you this is actually love, but it's not. It's so toxic. It is so toxic, that relationship, because there's also the fact that Miles puts down these ground rules. We're not going to fall in love. You're not going to ask me anything about my past. And it's just like, he set those ground rules. But it's obvious from Tate's point of view that she's feeling like more to it. Like, she doesn't realise that she's just pure in lust and that it's just the sex life. But she's she breaks the rules constantly, because she's there going, oh, you know, I think I am falling in love with him, but she doesn't say anything to him, and she keeps trying to dig into his past, which he says, oh, he's already said no to. And yeah, so I just found the characters really, really unlikable, because even with Miles setting those boundaries, he treats Tate horribly, and he is just using her for sex. And to be fair, she's also using him for sex. It's just, yeah. There were points when I wanted to throw my phone across the room while I was reading this book, because I was just like, why? Why? I know this gets mixed reviews. I've seen on Goodreads that it's got like a bit of a mix. I've seen a couple of videos where people think that Colleen Hoover is kind of a psychopath because of the books that she writes. And to be fair, I've read other Colleen Hoover books. If you haven't been to this channel before, you haven't seen my previous videos, I've read Heartbones, which I enjoyed that book. It was interesting to see this teenage love affair and how the families dealt with that. Sorry, my watch was going off. And then the first book I read by her was It Ends With Us, and people had mixed things about that. I took away from that the idea that nothing is black and white, and no, the abuse in that storyline is never condoned, but it does provide you context, and you do realise that even in relationships nothing is black and white. There will always be a grey area no matter what, and this book is again kind of going into that grey area, but I did not like the story. I was not rooting for these two characters. What I wanted was for Tate to realise just how messy this was and to kick him out and to say, no, you have treated me horribly throughout all of this. No matter what you say now, after everything comes out, I just wanted them to go their separate ways. I think if they had gone their separate ways at the end of this book, it would have made it 10 times better for me. And I might have actually said that I enjoyed it because it was giving that context of saying this is how this relationship started and developed, and then this is why it ended. The way this book ended did not make me happy. It made me angry. As I said, I wanted to throw my phone across the room several times while I was reading this book. But it made me feel something, so I'm not going to say that I, hated this book. The fact that it made me feel something tells you that it's been written well. I just did not like the story of it. And I think there's that line that has to be drawn. It's just like, I did finish this book. I finished this book and it made me feel something. But in this case, it was anger. It wasn't a case of, oh, I love the story, it was so romantic. It was just like, no, this was really difficult to read. And even when you find out about Miles's history and what happened with his previous relationship, and I'm just there going, God, this man needs help. He needs therapy. He's going through PTSD. And the fact that one other person in their friendship group knows about what happened and was there 6 years ago for that relationship, and I'm just like, why did Ian, the character who was there for all of it, not intervene and go, you need serious help, you need therapy? And I know it's a book and it's not real, but it's just one of those things where it's just like, that is not a true friend that lets you wallow like that. A true friend would have realised 6 months, a year after what happened with Rachel and gone, you need to get into therapy now because you are going down a downward spiral, you need help. Nobody does that for Miles. So when everything comes out about what happened with his previous relationship with Rachel and what happened there, it's just like, yeah, he has crap friends who did not see the spiral he was in, and they go out and celebrate jobs with him and stuff, and it's just like, my God, this book was just painful. This is just my honest opinion about what I felt reading this book. I'm sure there'll be other people who might have enjoyed this book and things. It just wasn't for me. I just felt really, really angry reading it, and yeah. I'm not going to spoil everything. I'm not going to tell you, if you want to read this book and you want to find out what happened, you can go read it, or you can even probably just Google what happens in this book. I'm sure there'll be spoilers out there that you can read if you want to know what happens. But yeah, just be aware that there's talks of depression. Miles is basically just going through a bit of a breakdown throughout half of this book. Also, her brother drove me insane as well, because I know that, when it comes to, sibling relationships, there is a bit of protectiveness. Especially because her brother Corbin basically goes to the friend group and says, none of you are going to hit on my sister. None of you. And so when you see how Corbin reacts to the group and to Tate as a grown woman in her 20s working as a nurse and studying and everything, and it's just like, mate, if she was a teenager this would be different, but she is an adult, and so if she does just want to have a relationship or anything, just stop it. Sorry about that, my memory card overloaded. As I was just saying, basically I just didn't find anybody really redeemable in this story, apart from the only character that I thought seemed to have any redeemable qualities was the security guy that Tate befriends. But then again, at the end, when you find out stuff about him, there is some stuff where I'm just like, really? Really? But yeah, this book just made me angry. I did not like the story. I don't like where it went. I don't like how it ended. And yeah, that's my thoughts. By the time I got to the end of this book, it was just like, why? I'm glad I read it. I'm kind of glad I finished it. I'm not the kind of person who can just stop reading a book, and you know, I'm sure there's people out there like me as well who just like, I just need to get to the end of this book, I just need to get to the end of this book. And then there's other people who are just like, you know, if it's making me that angry, I just should just put it down and stop reading. For me, I just felt like I needed to know what happened by the end of it, but yeah, it just made me angry. I didn't like it, and at no point was I rooting for the characters in this book. I just thought they were completely toxic for each other. Yeah. Sorry to the people who like this book, and to the fact that I didn't like it. It just wasn't up my alley, and I have a feeling if it was a different ending I may have had a different outlook on it. But the ending of it really cemented how I felt for it. Yeah, feels weird to be to talk about a book that made me feel so angry, but that was my honest thoughts on it. Ugly Love, Colleen Hoover, and to be fair, the title is pretty bang on. It is ugly, including the relationship that Miles and Rachel had. I'm not going to spoil that relationship for you, because a lot comes out in the 6 year before chapters about Miles and Rachel. Yeah, just, it's all ugly. That might be the point. But it's obvious that Colleen Hoover was trying to make this a relationship worth saving, like a relationship to root for, and I did not feel that way at all. I was not rooting for Tate and Miles. The perfect ending for this book would have been for both of them to realise just how toxic everything was and just to leave each other, and that's not how it ends. It's not how it ends. Yeah, so, sorry. Didn't like it. Ugly Love, Colleen Hoover. I'll still let you see the title of it. If you are intrigued from it, I'm still going to put the links to where you can find it. It just wasn't for me. I'm not going to say it's not for other people, it just was not for me, and it made me angry. It doesn't mean I'm not going to read any other Colleen Hoover books, because the fact is it's just one book, and I've read 2 other books by her which I did enjoy, so it's just one book in amongst the books that she has written that I just wasn't the biggest fan of. But yeah. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear my opinions on other books that I have read, or you want to see any theatre reviews, because I'm still enjoying the theatre, and I am hoping to make a little bit more content otherwise as well. And I will see you next time with another video. Stay safe, everybody. Love you all.